It's not often that you see a player traded with all of the attached storylines and then right out of the gate plays against his former team in the most unique of circumstances. And that's exactly what Brady Skjei is about to do. It's so special and intriguing on so many different levels. And we're gonna listen to our theme song, our catchy theme song, in a minute. And I just want to thank our two sponsors for allowing all of this to happen. Allstate Fastener Corporation, one of the leading distributors in the world, all over the world, locations all over the globe, in distributing fasteners, nuts and bolts. They may not be fancy, but every industry seems to use a lot of them. The quality of Allstate in automotive, earth moving, heavy truck, tractor trailer, medical, gaming, and I'm just scratching the surface. Allstate Fastener. You can learn more about that great corporation at allstatefastener.com. And the Vintage Wine Corporation. It is a wholesale company in the state of Michigan. So if you have any wholesale wine needs, let me tell you, Mike and Michelle Giorgio, the owners of this family-owned company, long-standing wine company, they have pallets that are right there, God-given pallets, right there with the rating of a guy like Robert Parker. So if you have any wholesale wine needs within Michigan, I encourage you to reach out to the Vintage Wine Company. How can you do it? VWCMI for Michigan.com. Thank you so much to the great people at both of our great sponsors. Now, without further ado, I never get sick and tired of listening to our song that my brother, the great Tim Tracy, was able to put together, and then Brady Skjei digs in.
Everywhere around the world, they're digging in with Tripp. Young and old, boys and girls, they're digging in with Tripp. Lace 'em up, it's time to go. They're digging in with Tripp. Lace 'em up, let's start the show. We're digging in with Tripp. 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 We're digging in with Tripp today, yeah.
Well, this is a lot of fun. The Digging In podcast that's about to unfold, because my guest I've admired as a player, and he's one of those rare people that I trust. Not 70, 80% say that he embodies class, 1,000% that he does. And that's former Ranger, and boy, I love saying this, current Hurricane Brady Skjei joins me now. And Brady, I start off every episode by asking the question, how do you, Brady Skjei, define digging in? So I think we've done, you and I, one bench interview. We won't be doing it, of course. We would be game one in Toronto if fans were allowed. But if I was doing an interview with you and ended it by asking, how are you going to define digging in? You're in game one against your former team, the New York Rangers. How would you define digging in?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, Tripp. Appreciate it. And digging into me, I think, is, buying into the system, buying into the structure you have in place, the team, and each guy, doing their job and, putting the team in front of themselves. I think for me as a defenseman, I think that means, being hard to play against, being physical, willing to lay down and block a shot and sacrifice your body for the team. I think that's probably my biggest, I would say that's what digging in is for me.
Brady, I was thinking last night over all the years and the trades that have occurred and players coming to Carolina. And I have to tell you, what jumped out at me is, because I remember looking down at Rod Brindamore's first warm-up. I think they were playing the Hurricanes Montreal. And he loved being a Flyer. And it was a tough adjustment. And look at how much he's fallen in love with Carolina all these years later. When did you – it was trade deadline Monday. When did you find out about the trade? Where were you when you heard the news?
I found out I was actually in a coffee shop with my fiance in the West Village in Manhattan. it was actually after, I think the trade deadline ended at 3, and it was at about like 3:15 when I found out. I saw on Twitter, and I got a few text messages from guys saying what's going on or what's happening, and I didn't really know at the time. And then got a call from my agent probably around 3:20, 3:25 saying I got traded to the Hurricanes, and it was just, it was a weird experience. I'd obviously never been traded before, and was with the Rangers for my whole career before this, and definitely was, hard at the time. But once I got down here and, got in the room with the guys and started playing with this team, that bitterness kind of went away right away. I think the team did a great job with me coming in the locker room and, make me feel part of the team right away. And it was, they made it a very easy transition for me. So give a lot of credit to the guys on the team and also the coaching staff.
It's been a heck of a first week, and now getting to the second week of training camp, Brady. If you had to pick one thing, one area on or off the ice that you're clearly more comfortable and more adjusted to being a Hurricane now than you were before your last game in March in Detroit, what would that be?
I think just the system in general. I think, obviously the time off we had, I took some time away from hockey, but, also it's a different system than we played in New York. In the first few games, I was trying to kind of get used to it and feel it out. And I love the way that it sets up. I think it sets up perfectly for me with, skating and all that and being aggressive and having D jump into play. That's definitely a strength of mine, I feel like. And I've been trying to just keep that in my head, and then going over video the last week or so here really instilled it in my mind, and I feel like I'm ready to go.
I haven't talked to Rod about that connection, thinking about it, and it's really etched in my brain, Brady, looking down his first game, his first warm-up against Montreal back in 2099, whenever it was. Have you talked to him at all about the trade specifically and adjusting to a new team? I mean, I know how happy he is to have you on board, but any type of common identity or experience there?
A little bit. I think when I first got traded, he was, helped me with the systems and, like I said, made me feel a part of the team and made me feel wanted, felt like I could be a big part of this team. And I think that's all as a player you need to hear. You got to, have that trust that, the coaches trust you, the players trust you. And he definitely made that clear right away when I got traded. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
You're living with a fellow Minnesotan and Jake Gardner right now. The most powerful early moment is after a win, and I sit right in front of the 2 card games, and I looked over my shoulder and I saw Brady in one of the card games, and I was all fired up inside because I knew how hard it was for you, because you envisioned being a Ranger probably forever, and that was a very powerful moment. What does it mean to you individually and collectively? Because you can tell, the way I've observed it, how happy the guys are to have you in Carolina, and that they will run through a wall to be victorious here in this special, maybe extra special series against New York.
Yeah, I mean, that's the small things like that make a huge difference. This card table is usually a lot of seniority, and usually guys have their spots on the plane that they always sit at, and the fact that someone, I can't remember exactly who it was, but stepped aside and stopped playing and told me go ahead and start playing with the guys and get to know everybody. That was huge for me, and that really helps for team bonding and for me getting to know guys. And like I said, that's just a small thing, but these guys made me feel welcome right away, and couldn't ask for a better group of guys right now.
How about, I know the Rangers have had an edge, but, your old teammate Henrik Lundqvist has had a lot to do with that over the years. I saw some remarks that you made that you were very impressed with the Hurricanes, despite whatever the outcomes were the last couple of years, Brady. What would be something about the team that maybe you didn't recognize, let's just say on the ice, from being a Ranger, that now you realize being a Hurricane?
Yeah, the last few years, I know the record didn't show it, but it was always tough for us coming into this building, or even when the Canes came to the Garden. You knew you were in for a battle. The the one thing that stuck out to me was probably the work ethic of the team. And as defensemen, the forwards, it seemed like you had no time with the puck, and the forecheck was relentless, and defensemen coming down the walls and keep taking away the wings. So as a D-man, it was very difficult to play in those games, and just had great structure, and it was really hard to break the puck out. And it was always a tough one against the Canes. And I think obviously Henrik stole a few games for us in those games, but I would say the work ethic and the structure that's in place that kind of takes away all the options for their team. That's what really stuck out to me the last few years playing against the Canes.
Right, before I get back into the nuts and bolts on the ice, gosh, I remember years ago, I went to college in Boston, and I would have always, truthfully, if I could play on one team and win the cup, I probably would have said the New York Rangers, probably because I would have liked the glitz of Broadway, and I would have loved living in New York. So, but now you couldn't pay me to do anything but visit New York. I like living in Raleigh, and I live in Michigan. I'm a pure Michigander. Tell me about Raleigh and what you did know, just coming to the hotel and playing for the Rangers. And now you're limited exposure. I know these are COVID times, so it's tough to really take in the entire area. But what you didn't know that you know now about the area outside of the rink.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it right away. It was kind of right when I got traded, everyone was saying it's an easy lifestyle. It's the one thing that stuck out to me in New York. It was an hour drive to the practice rink every day, which kind of wears on you after a while. And it seems like everything here is about 10 minutes away. So that's one thing that I really enjoy. And just, everyone, it's just, it's a lot like Minnesota, I feel like, in a way, where I grew up. I think, things are spaced out. Everyone's, a lot of good people here, and everyone willing to help you out. It's just a great place to play. And like I said, it was kind of just a breath of fresh air when I got down here.
Well, you just segued me perfectly. It would be impossible for something to go to Brady Skjei's head. So don't let this, be the first time that something goes to your head. But I've never met a bad Minnesotan. Okay, I just haven't. And you're from the Twin Cities. Your mom and dad are both realtors. Tell me about growing up there, and maybe how your mom and dad individually and collectively have had the biggest influences on who you are.
Yeah, they both grew up in Minnesota. They grew up in Bloomington. I think just as parents, for me, my brother, they always instilled in us, treat others, the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. Say your please and thank yous. That was a huge thing for them. And I think all of Minnesota seems to have. It's hard to find a bad person from Minnesota. There's a lot of nice people, a lot of people that are willing to help you out, a lot of people that are will just do anything for you. So it's a great place to grow up. And my parents obviously instilled that in me and my brother, and can't thank them enough for that.
Your mom and dad both realtors in the Twin Cities. And by the way, who came up with the names Brady and your brother Ramsey? I mean, those are quality selections. Who gets the credit for that?
I think my mom. I'm not sure exactly. I got to ask her on that. But I haven't met many other Ramseys. I know there's a few Bradys, but Ramsey's definitely a unique one. And he's he's a year older than me, so I think I could probably have to get that one to my mom.
Wait, you watch Game of Thrones?
I did watch.
Was the one guy's name Ramsey?
Yeah, he was not. My brother's a little better guy than he was.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Hey. The Ramsey on Game of Thrones, that guy does not dig in. I mean, let's not kid him.
No, he does not dig in at all.
Okay, so you were not just a hockey player growing up. You were a really good quarterback, and you still are an excellent golfer. Was there any point at any age that you had to make a choice which sport you were going to focus on?
Not really. I kind of always knew it was hockey. I did love golf too, but I thought hockey was my best sport, and that was probably the sport that I had the most passion for. I come from a football family. My grandpa, my dad, my uncle all played football, and I did really enjoy football. I left after my sophomore year of high school, so that was tough. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and obviously, played with some really good buddies of mine in high school, but it wasn't too hard of a decision for me. I think I always kind of knew it was hockey, and once I got offered to play at the U.S. development team, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So it was difficult, but still really enjoy. Obviously, I really enjoy golf and follow along in football still.
You and I were actually talking last night. Your favorite quarterback, you and many, is your name is Brady. It's fitting it would be Tom Brady. But other than the obvious stuff, why is he your favorite?
I think just the way he plays in the biggest games. I think he brings it when it counts. And he has 5 rings now, or is he have 6 or 5? I think he might have 6. Do you know?
Gosh, you're
I
testing
don't
me,
know,
Brady.
but I don't know either. It's one of those two. And I actually, when I was in New York, I lived with Jimmy Vesey and Kevin Hayes for a year. So they're Boston guys, and it seemed like we were always watching the Pats and being able to see him week in and week out play. And like I said, in the biggest games, he seems like he brings it the most, and just a really impressive guy. His golf game's not as good as a football game, though.
Well, we saw that in the challenge with Tiger Woods, Phil. But just when the guy looks like Dorf on golf, Dorf on golf, he holds one from the fairway and backs it up to do so. I mean, just when he looks human, Brady.
Yeah, that's him. I feel like that sums him up right there.
Can you, looking back to when you were a quarterback in the pocket, and a defenseman, say, going back to get a puck, or who knows, at the offensive blue line, is there anything you take from deciding which receiver to go to elect where to go with the puck when you're seeing the open ice?
I feel like they're different. I think that obviously there's similarities maybe when you're, in like a set breakout or something like that. But as a quarterback, I feel like you kind of have all your pre-snap reads, and you kind of know where the ball is going to go before the snap even happens. Whereas in hockey, it's a lot quicker pace, and you might have to think. Obviously, as a quarterback, you got to think on your toes too. But I feel like football is a little more pre-snap, whereas hockey is probably a little more, think on your toes and try to make plays as you go.
I'm sitting here thinking about how unique this is going to be when you go to the bubble and you play games without fans. And I looked at, is it your first playoff series as a Ranger? You had a great series with Montreal and you won. Then you end up playing Ottawa. I mean, those are 2 electric buildings in the playoffs in Montreal and, of course, Madison Square Garden. Could you ever hear yourself talking to teammates in those series? Because it's going to be different. You're going to hear everything with no fans. I mean, how big is communication going to be, Brady?
It's going to be huge. Yeah. Like when my first year we were in Pittsburgh, that was kind of my eye-opening experience being in there, being in a loud building. And the second year being in Montreal was crazy. But yeah, it's going to be completely different this year. You're going to be able to hear everything on the ice. And I think one big thing that's going to come from it is I think momentum won't be as strong as it usually is. I think, when teams score a goal in the playoffs, usually you get the place is going bananas, and with no one in the stands, I think teams will be able to weather the storm a little more, which will be interesting to see. But yeah, communication will be huge. You got to keep life on the bench, keep guys up, because they'll definitely be different.
Any particular notable chirpers on the Rangers?
There's a few. I think Tony DeAngelo, who was a good buddy of mine, he's not afraid to chirp a little bit. So he'll probably be he'll be talking a little bit on the ice. But like I say, he's a good buddy of mine, and but he's not afraid to get into it.
Is there any spot that you could be on the ice that you could be a decoy? Let's say, I don't know, I'll use nicknames here. Kreitz has got the puck, or Zibanejad, or Panarin. Hey, Breadman. And all of a sudden he might think, and he goes to you.
That's a good idea. I might have to do that when if someone is around the puck or in the corner. I'll be calling for pucks from their team too, which maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll be nice. Maybe it'll help out.
Just a little pocket play. Speaking of those, I don't want you to give away any trade secrets, because I'm sure Rod and your teammates and the staff are relying on you for the pre-scout when you look at the Rangers specifically. But Panarin is just having a sensational year. Among the elite things he does, what's at the summit of that mountain?
I think I would say his hockey IQ. I think, it seems like this whole entire year every time he had the puck, something good happened. There was probably count on one hand times that not even something bad happened, but something like he broke the chain in the play. I feel like he always does the right thing with the puck. He's so deceptive. He never gets hit. Just a really, really smart hockey player with a ton of skill and is always in the right place at the right time. So I think just his brain and his hockey IQ is probably the biggest thing when it comes to his game.
So, Brady, you're making me think. I remember when I first started broadcasting, a fellow defenseman, Glenn Wesley, used to do an excellent job on a Ranger at one point, Jaromir Jagr. And Jagr was such a big guy. You didn't want to take away his time and space because he wanted that. He could just roll off of you. Even with the hockey IQ that a guy like Panarin has, do you want to make him uncomfortable and take away that time and space?
Yeah, you do. You do. You want to, I feel like as much as you can, you want to meet the puck with him. Obviously he has the skill that he can tap it around, but I think if you go through his body and try to anticipate pucks before they're even passed to him, that'll be huge for us. And but yeah, if you give him room, time, and space, he's going to make you pay. So I think getting on him and staying on him is going to be a huge key for us.
Did you see Mika Zibanejad, the former Ottawa Senator, taking his game not to just the next level, but 2 or 3 levels in the right direction?
I did, yeah. I mean, the last 2 years, he's really made that next step to be an elite number 1 center. Another guy with crazy amount of skill and has the hockey IQ to go along with it, and really deceptive shot. I feel like his wrist shot is, I wouldn't say Ovechkin, but he makes it hard for goalies for sure. And but yeah, the last 2 years he's really made that step to be an elite player, and we'll be another player that we got to watch out in the first round.
Different type of player, but there are a bunch of candidates to be the best power forward in the series. You can look at Jordan Stahl, Nino Niederreiter, Warren Fogle on your side, Chris Kreider on the other side. How do you deal with Chris Kreider when he's going like a freight train?
You got to keep him in front of you. He's obviously got a ton of speed and one of those, if not the strongest guy on the ice, usually most nights. Yeah, he's just he's a force. You got to keep him in front of you. He's a guy that you want to take away time and space as much as you can, but you got to be aware of his speed because he can definitely make you pay that way. And he's a bull in front of the net too. He's hard to move and does a good job, boxing defensemen out. So it's good that I've been practicing against him for 4 or 5 years, so I kind of know his tricks a little bit, but another guy that can make you pay if you give him some room.
We're gonna move back. I'm not going to ask you, who you think is going to be in goal. Rangers have 3 excellent goalies, but you've been with Henrik Lundqvist for a long time, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. When he is rolling, I'm not going to ask you about the physical mechanics, but when he's rolling, what makes Henrik Lundqvist so special? He
just competes so hard on every single puck. I think that he's a goalie that can, like he's done in the past, just steal games. He's just so competitive. When he's on, he is on, and he makes it hard for the other team to get it by him. So just another guy that's unbelievable player. He's been really good for a long time. And, one thing that it stuck out for me with Henrik, I sat next to him in the locker room for the last 4 or 5 years, and his work ethic as a 37-year-old is second to none. He's always in the weight room working on different things, and always the first guy on the ice, warming up with the goalie coach, and takes about 25 to 30 breakaways after practice too, which for a goalie that's a lot of conditioning, and that's tough. So it's pretty remarkable, the work ethic that he puts into his game, and it's definitely paid off over his career.
I mean, what an extraordinary career. I have to tell you, because I joked with the brother of your now captain, your former teammate, Mark Stahl. Mark Stahl has a great sense of humor. He's going to dig in coming up. He has a great sense of humor. So anyways, it was in a group text, I think, with Jordan, with Eric and Mark. And I said, Lundqvist. I mean, he's Zoolander. Does he roll out of the bed, with the suit on, the handkerchief not even out of place? I mean, it's borderline ridiculous. Coif perfect. I mean, first thing in the morning, is he put together like that?
I have rarely seen him not dressed to the nines. I think once in a while we'll see him at pregame meal when he's in his sweatpants. But yeah, that hair, it's always done up well, and obviously he's a good looking guy too. So he's got it all.
Well, what about Igor Shesterkin? I mean, this guy has hit the ground running. I've read some things you've said about how calm he is. Tell me about your impressions of why he is, seamless adjustment in the NHL.
Yeah, obviously I didn't play a ton with him. I don't know how many games exactly he played for us, but in the short time that I saw him, he just kind of has that swagger, that calmness, the confidence that he is a really good goalie. And I think he does a great job of, seeing through traffic. And it seems like there's not many rebounds when pucks are shot at him. He was obviously running really well for us, and when I was there, and he's a guy that I think has that game-breaking ability as well. So we'll see who they play, but definitely get pucks by him.
How's his English?
Horrible.
So you can't
Not
chirp?
great. You can't chirp him, no. No.
Well, Brady, I want to shift gears for a minute here. Speaking of New York, you're going to marry Gracia, who's a Minnesotan. She was a neighbor of yours growing up. She is the definition of courageous, a nurse. New York's doing so much better now, but going right into Lions Den medically when it was really not under control. What did you admire most? I'm sure of countless things, the woman that you love when she was putting everything on the line to be there medically during, the peak of COVID.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think we talked about this earlier, but just the courage that she had and all the other nurses that time in New York, it was crazy. I mean, it was about 6 or 7 weeks there. It was scary to go outside and to even, obviously for the nurses to be in the hospitals with this virus going around. I think the courage that they showed was second to none, and the hospitals did a great job of keeping them safe. She's safe now, and it's all good in New York. I mean, not good, but gotten a lot better. But the courage that she showed as alongside with her other nurses was unbelievable. Definitely tip my cap to her and all the nurses in New York during that crazy time.
Those are true heroes, and you guys will tie the knot a year from now in August. Has she seen Raleigh? I know how hard she's a tireless worker. Has she seen much of Raleigh yet, enough to gain an impression?
Yeah, she came down. She was here for a week when I got traded. She came in. We checked out the city, and she really enjoyed it. She loves the city. She loves New York. But I think she's also looking forward to, a nice little breath of fresh air and kind of getting back to that Minnesota feel of being able to drive around everywhere and not as much traffic, which would be nice for us. So she's excited, and we're both really looking forward to this next step in our lives.
Boy, this is just the music. I can just feel the music to my ears right now. And the Carolinas. I mean, you're talking about especially Raleigh, Chapel Hill in Durham. You're talking about a medical epicenter, which has to be intriguing to her as well. Brady, getting back on the ice. You've been very transparent in the fact that you have a chip on your shoulder right now in this series. How would you, or have you had time to think about what is the appropriate way to channel your emotion to maximize it positively?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like we said before, I think that for me as a defenseman, I think being hard to play against, being a guy that can join the rush offensively, I think I feel like I'll just obviously running with emotions the first few minutes of the first game, but I think I'll settle in, and I feel like I've been a guy my whole career where kind of keep an even keel, and I'll play physical, but no, I just want to keep that even keel and throughout the series, but also obviously also, lay on the line when I have to, and not be afraid to get physical when the time comes.
Brady, I can tell you, it's one of my favorite Hurricane series in my over 2 decades was Justin Williams and the Canes beating his most recent former hockey club in the first round last spring. You and Justin are two of the many elite golfers on the hockey club, but I'm sure you guys have played together. Have you talked to Willie at all about anything to bear in mind when you're playing your former hockey club?
I haven't yet. I think I definitely will, and he'll probably say a few things too before the series. But Willie's been great to me. I've played golf with him probably 3 or 4 times now here in Raleigh, and just a unbelievable leader. He's a great guy in the locker room that we have, and he's kind of the heartbeat of the team, it seems like, and just a guy you look up to and a guy you admire what he's done in his career. So I think he'll have a few things for me before the series, and I'll definitely be all ears.
Listen, I totally agree and echo what you're saying, but can you believe this guy is somehow negotiated that I'm giving him 3 strokes aside? Because my mom's right off to my left here, and when Willie's mom, our moms made us chicken Kievs. We have a big match, hopefully after you win a cup, and I got to give him 3 aside. That's highway robbery.
Yeah, that is. He's you must be a +6 then, if that's the case, because he's shooting around par. So, yeah, that's I don't think that probably wouldn't play in your favor.
Getting back again to the series, to the actual nuts and bolts of it. When you look, it's a best of 5. You have to get to your game early. Finish this sentence for me. The Hurricanes, Brady, Skjei, and the Hurricanes, and still music to my ears, are going to win and beat the Rangers if.
Put pressure on him. I think that's Roddy's biggest thing. Is been talking about it all camp, and obviously the short time I was with them, the 7 games before all this happened. I think when we pressure the puck, and that's when we're at our best. And it's tough for teams to get by when we're on our toes and playing with all that pressure.
I like it. So would Billy Joel. Well, he's played a lot of concerts at Madison Square Garden. Pressure is one of my favorite Joel tunes. Who's the funniest new teammate in the dressing room?
I'd probably say Fleur. I think I sit next to Fleury in the locker room, and he's always cracking jokes and giving guys a hard time. I'd probably go with Fleur on that one.
Yeah, I think he's closet. I think Tara Vinan's closet too.
Yeah. There's a lot. Actually, there's a lot of characters on the team, which makes a lot of fun in the dressing rooms.
Do you feel, whether it be Vincent Trocheck, Sammy Vodnin, do you feel, because I know in talking to Rod, he dug in about a month ago, and that was his biggest concern with all the new faces this year and then at the deadline is getting everybody to come together. You can tell how comfortable you are, Brady. Do you feel that's the case for Vincent, Sammy, etc.?
I do. I think it's a credit to the other guys in the room. I think they made us feel really welcome right away. Obviously we were talking about golf a lot, but I think being out on the golf course with these guys, we usually get 8 guys out there. We have a big game together, so that really helps team chemistry and team bonding. So and Sammy and Vince are also good golfers, so we've been out there a bunch with the guys, and it's been a very seamless transition for all 3 of us. And like I said, the guys have done a really good job with us as new players coming into the locker room.
Brady, I know you'll give me a straight shooting answer here. Please tell me in these bonding golf rounds that it hasn't been everything's a good shot. Nothing drives me nuts more than you slice one out of, you know what? It's really close to being a good shot. Tell me there's been some legitimate carving out there.
There's been some carving out there. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been, when there's some money on the line, you'll hear guys chime in and try to get under your skin a little bit. So, yeah, there's definitely been some carving, and like I feel like I'm not at that point yet where I can. I have definitely with some guys, but when you're out there with Fleur and some other guys, you're going to get it if you hit a bad shot.
You're living with Guards. Guards is out. I think you said he's getting gas right now. First of all, what's Guards' golf game like?
Guards is good. He's I think he's probably about a 4 or 5 handicap. Hits it far. He's looking for a new driver right now. He's been hitting 3-wood off the tee a lot, so he needs to get a new driver. But yeah, he's high 70s, low 80s, just about every single round.
I'd have to give Guards about 8 aside, everything but the par 3s, probably, right?
Exactly. Guards got a stroke on a par 3 yesterday at Duke, so we're still a little chapped about that. He won the match with the stroke on a par 3.
No kid, you got a stroke.
Yeah.
How did he even accept that? There had to be some major critiques moving his way for even accepting a stroke on a par 3. That's borderline embarrassing.
I know. It was me and Marty were playing, him and Joel Edmondson. So we saw that. I think the tees must have been pushed up about 50 yards, and it was about a 150-yard shot that he got a stroke on. So he was hitting one from about 20 feet from the pin, which was trouble for me and Marty.
We talked earlier that you call him the GOAT. Virtually everybody does. Tom Brady. That the bigger the game, the better he plays. What do you think it is in his makeup, his approach, the all-inclusive ability to do that? And is there anything you can take in observing that and do the same thing?
Yeah, I think his work ethic, his preparation. I watched a documentary on him. I think it came out last year, and the amount of film that he watches, the amount of time he puts into his body, and really watches what he eats. It's really impressive. And a guy that's around 40 years old and still competing at a high level against guys that are 15, 20 years younger than him, it's unbelievable. I think just that commitment to being great is it's unbelievable. It's just it's fun to see.
And we're just in continuing with other sports and how they help your professional sport in hockey. In golf is a majorly mental, maybe you could argue and make a good argument, the most mental sport. Is there anything, being an elite golfer, really, Brady, the mental part of golf, the mental toughness required that you can take from being on the course and apply advantageously to being a hockey player?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously totally different sports. I think on a golf course, you're kind of out there alone, and there's no excuses for you. If you're playing bad, it's all on you. If you're playing good, it's on you. So hockey is different. Obviously, you have teams, you have guys that can back you up, which is awesome. But no, I think just the mental toughness in golf definitely helps in hockey. I think, obviously putting, like, for me, if I'm playing bad, try to play a little mini game in my head where if play the next 6 holes even par. And in hockey, maybe you have a bad shift, you want to play the next 2 shifts, just keep it simple, make plays, make the simple play, and that usually gets you right back on track. So I'd say those are 2 things that's the thing that golf can relate with in hockey.
It's a great point. You know what? You never know me, Brady, as you've gotten to know me. I go off on tangents. I'm thinking about the movie What About Bob? Baby steps. Just take make that next baby step a good one. All of a sudden, you're building something great. One of the classic comedies, underrated, I think, in the history of movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard yesterday that the band Train, I'm a fan, that Pat Monahan, the lead singer, you and he are tight. You've been on his podcast. So my question is, I think he's from Pennsylvania. He's an Irishman like me. Have you converted him to being the great Pat Monahan and all of Train to being Caniacs? Please tell me yes.
I think so. I think I feel like Pat obviously will support whichever team I'm playing for, which is great. I got to talk to him a little bit more about, I have to send him a jersey or something to get him to be a real Caniac. But he's just he's a great guy. I got to know him, met him in New York a couple years ago, and He had a concert in Minnesota 2 summers ago, and got to play golf with him, the band manager, and my dad. So it was it's just been a good relationship that we've formed, and I'll get him on the Caniac side for sure.
That's what I like to hear. That's your homework assignment. We're not done yet, but that is your homework assignment. Do you have any musical ability?
I can play guitar a little bit. I took Guitar 1 in high school, and just kind of stay with it a little bit here and there. Definitely not an expert, but I can play a few songs on guitar.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little Canes trivia, and if you pull this rabbit out of your head, it's going to be really impressive.
Okay.
And I can give you hints.
All right.
I'll start with a Stanley Cup champion Carolina Hurricane is without question the greatest musical talent in the history of the Hurricanes. Who is he?
I'm gonna need a hint. I think. Give me an era. Is it?
He was a Stanley Cup champion in 2006.
06.
He's a Minnesotan.
Oh, Brett Hedican?
Brett Roy Hobbs Hedican. Yeah.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I know. I met Brett in San Jose a couple of years ago. He's a good friend of my uncle's, who's a skating coach in Minnesota. So I got to know Brett a little bit. Just saw him after the game a few times, and I didn't know he was a musical guy. He
is. He's actually in my cell phone all these years later as Roy Hobbs because he's the natural. Because he could go shoot par on the golf course. And I remember, boy, what an underrated player. Corey Stillman used to laugh and say that Hetty could walk into the bar and have everybody swooning because he just grabbed the guitar and great singing voice. Happy belated anniversary. He and the great Christy Yamaguchi just celebrated an anniversary. But yes, Brett Hedican, no doubt. He came on our pregame show a couple of years ago with the guitar and sang a tune, and it was seamless.
Wow. I didn't know that. I should have known that, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And I will relay this message to him. Chance the Rapper. Okay, so I saw this whole thing, and I thought it was hilarious. Isn't that the difference between all of the hubbub and everything that's electric in New York? You've gone from Chance the Rapper talking about the Norwegian name Skjei to digging in with Tripp.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, that was pretty cool. I think we were watching. I remember it pretty clearly. We were in our apartment. It was me and Kevin Hayes on the couch, and the actor on SNL walked in, and I saw the 7 on his jersey, and I knew earlier in the week they were asking about doing a Rangers skit, and didn't know exactly what they wanted, or what they were going to do. So we were watching it, and I remember seeing the 7. I told Kev, I was like, I think that's my jersey. And then obviously he turned around, and the best part about it, I think it was obviously a hilarious skit, which made it that much better. The Chance did a great job, and the other actor in there did awesome. So it was pretty cool. My phone obviously blew up, and a lot of people were watching. So I think digging in with Tripp's a little bigger than SNL, though.
That's what I like to hear. And my homework assignment, yours is to get Pat Monahan and trained to be Caniacs. I'm going to have to get Chance to be a Caniac. I'm going to have him trade in that 76 Ranger jersey, 76 Carolina. Hey,
there we go.
The name Skjei, are you 100% Norwegian?
Pretty much. I think I'm probably about 85%. My mom's side is mostly Norwegian. My dad's side is 100% Norwegian. So, yeah, pretty much all Norwegian.
Quick off the beaten path question. Have you seen the TV show Vikings?
I have seen, I think I've seen the first maybe 2 or 3 seasons of it. I have seen it. Yeah, it's a good one.
I shouldn't. I turned your coach, Roddy Brindamore, onto that. And I said, Rod, you would have flourished back then. You would have been a heck of a Viking.
You would have. Ragnar Lothbrok.
Yes, Ragnar.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more things. Who was your favorite? Did you have a favorite defenseman or just a flat-out favorite hockey player growing up?
as a hockey player, when I was younger, I really liked Sidney Crosby. I think he was just getting on the scene when I was kind of starting to take hockey really seriously. So I obviously really enjoyed watching him, and I remember going to the Wild games when he was probably 18 or 19 years old and playing, and definitely looked up to him. And then as a defenseman, I think my favorite all time is probably Nicholas Lidstrom. I think just the way he played, how smart he was, and how consistent he was. It's just a guy that I really, really admired and really, tried to watch his game as much as I could.
Yeah, it's funny, the effortless nature of Nick Lidstrom. Of those two guys, one of them, shockingly, is the one that suggested that I watch Vikings and Ragnar Lothbrok. Who was it?
I'm going to guess Nicholas Lidstrom.
No, Sid.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Sid. Yeah, I'm going to have to clip this off because he's coming on Digging in a few weeks, and we're going to have to discuss this. Yeah, he told me to watch Vikings and Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders is really good. I watched that one too. That's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I was hooked on Vikings. I was just hooked on. Yeah, he deserves the credit for that one.
Okay.
All right. So Brady, your team, I'm so excited about your team. I know the first week of camp's been excellent. I can't wait for the puck to drop, for you guys to get in the bubble. If you're going to go deep, and I believe you can, and you take it one step at a time, what is it about your group? First, the way you're built on the ice, and then this chemistry that seems outstanding off the ice that gives you belief that you can stage a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge thing is the run they had last year. I think that definitely helps a ton. I mean, you'll have a bunch of guys that have been there before in that situation and know how to win. Know how to win in the playoffs and win series. But I think just like you said, the closeness to this team, the team camaraderie, the buying into the system, coaches, players, everyone on the same page. I think that's something really special we have here, and that's how you make runs in the playoffs. You need that team bond and that everyone fighting for the same thing. So I'm really excited, and I think there's no reason we can't make a run at this thing.
You're more worried, as any really good team is, more worried about how you play and execute than your opponent. But we talked about the Rangers specifically, individually, collectively a little earlier. If there was one player on the team or an underrated part of their team game, unsung, that you have to keep an eye on, that perhaps people on the surface wouldn't recognize, who would that be, or what would that be?
For the Rangers, you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough one. I think I would probably say, as a defenseman, watching Adam Fox this year was very impressive. I think as a young guy coming into the league and doing the things that he did, he's a guy that can make plays. He's smart. He's obviously got a ton of skills. So if I had to pick a player that impressed me this year, not obviously Panarin and Mika, I'd probably say Fox. He's one of the guys that really stuck out to me, and will be a guy that we have to watch in the playoffs, definitely.
Lastly, we've touched on it, and I don't want you to be redundant, so see if you can come up with something new, but from the heart, because I'm so thrilled to see it be a Carolina Hurricane. What is it going into this series, playing against the Rangers, and hopefully going upwards and onwards, and you're going to be a Cane for a long time? What is it that excites you most about being a Hurricane?
I think the group of guys. I think that's one thing that really stuck out to me right away when I got here is, the guys in the locker room. Obviously, the leadership that Willie and Jordo have is very impressive, and but also the young core, the Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, Turbo, all these guys that are buying into that system. I think some guys around the league who have that amount of skill can kind of go off on their own and try to do things on their own, and they can get away with it. But the way that this young core buys into the system and the work ethic they have is second to none. So I think that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to. I think this team's going to be really good for a lot of years, and just from that whole, all that buying into the system and playing together as a team.
Brady, I can't tell you. I don't want to, because all my buddies that watch Digging In, they say, "Oh, Tripp, you're just so confident." But from my heart, I'm so pumped to see you be a Hurricane.
Thank you.
Good luck. Go dig in, and do me a favor. I need bragging rights over our mutual good friend, Chris Drury. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to carve him. Little League World Series winning pitcher. At one point, I struck him out in wiffle ball. I mean, he didn't even come close with that bat.
That's great. Yeah, no, Drew's a great guy, and got to know him really well in my years in New York. But yeah, at least I feel nice to give him a little crap when we beat him.
You know what? I love that. Boy, my gosh, is that just what the doctor ordered? Get to that bubble safely. Dig in. I'll be in touch. Your homework assignment, getting your buddy Pat Monahan and trained to be Caniacs. Of course, I'm going to have to reach out to Chance the Rapper, and I'll have him in a Hurricanes jersey. Don't you worry.
Deal. Perfect.
Brady, thanks for digging in, and good luck. I'm really pumped that we've had the chance to get to know each other, and looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Tripp. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun, and ready to get going in this first round.
Go time. Thanks, my man.
Go time. No problem.
Boy, how exciting this time is, and for him specifically, playing against the Rangers, really right out of the gate as a Carolina Hurricane. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to encourage you to honestly rate and give us any type and all type of feedback that you can on any platform that you download your podcast. We are available on YouTube. Our handle on both Instagram and Twitter is @DigInTrip. @DigInTrip. And we encourage, like I said, every bit of your feedback as we move forward and build @DigIn.
We're digging in with Tripp today, yeah. Today, yeah. Today, yeah. Today.